What's up guys, welcome back. Today we're going to start some beef with mannequins. So I saw this post the other day that said these things were never useful to me ever. I was like, Jesus Christ, that's some real anger you got there, brother. And then I scrolled down a little bit. It's got 179,000 likes. So apparently everybody in the world feels the same way about these mannequins. But he's not the only one catching strays today, guys. These things too. And don't you guys worry, I got one of these as well. This is my investment into this video, alright? I got one of these as a kid, and instead of using it properly, I painted it to look like the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 mannequin. It's good for everything except art. I have one, I hate it, and I don't know what to do with it. Maybe some voodoo. Everyone has one of these in their homes, yes? Everyone says yes. Perfect. Take it and throw it in the trash and set it on fire. Bro's not wrong, and I'll tell you guys why in just a second. You have the internet, billions of references. I have two that belong to my grandfather. They were pretty handy back in the 50s and 90s. Now, honestly, that's probably true, and that's probably the most reasonable take that I've read so far, but still these things suck. I only wear this and I'm horny. I am so tired. Someone's using it to hold up their jewelry. Mine has my tablet pen ready for when I need it, so it seems like everyone's using this for anything but art. It's so unhelpful, like the poses do not look realistic at all, which defeats the entire point. They look like poses someone who doesn't know anatomy would draw. Honestly, facts. Hey yo, what in... Why are people saying it's bad? I've been thinking about buying it, so if anyone can explain why, that'll be nice. I got you, brother. Look, now if you have one of these and you have studied from this, don't worry, okay? It's not all bad. I want to start off with the good things about these mannequins. But that's just about where all the good ends. I mean, you cannot possibly learn to draw the human body or any poses from this, which really makes me question what this thing is even good for. Well, let's for one just take a look at the head. I mean, from the front it's okay, but when you turn this guy to the side, what in the world is going on here? Where's the jaw? Where's the chin? Where's the back of the head? And where's the connection to the neck? And if you want to put this guy in a pose and make it look like he's looking in different directions and have his face looking in different directions, you can't get that at all. If you have drawn any type of pose or anatomy studies, you will understand how important it is to pinpoint and anchor this chin, because that is how we interpret the direction that a character is looking and the position of their head in space. This anchors the entire head. It's super important for any pose that you're trying to draw, and you just cannot get that with this. And also with a model like this, you lose a lot of the nuance in the human anatomy, okay? One of the most jarring elements to me on this is the hips. Now, if you just look at it really far away and it's pretty blurry, you know, it looks fine as a human, but first of all, these hip joints are extremely close together and they're placed right under the hips, okay? This is not how a human body actually works. If you just take a look at a human skeleton, you can see that the hip joints are actually inserted at like 45 degrees into the pelvis, which is what allows our legs to have maximum range of motion. Now, in this case, if you try to draw a character based off of this and you draw the hips exactly like that, your character is going to look very strange, okay? The legs are going to be so squished and pressed together, and it's going to look like there's no range of motion. And in fact, this model has no range of motion. So if you want to do something a little bit more dynamic, impossible. Check this out, okay? You can kick forward, you can kick back. But now what if I want to maybe get him to do the splits? Oh, wait a minute, the legs don't move that way. So you're basically stuck to just forward and back motion for the legs, which is extremely limiting when it comes to posing your characters. You know, you get pretty good motion in the back, you know, you can really arch that, but you know, you take a look at the elbow and it just bends to less than 90 degrees, and with a real human elbow you can bend it all the way back like that. Now, I might forgive it for the lack of range of motion if it actually had realistic forms. You know, maybe the upper arm is actually bigger than the forearm, maybe the thigh is bigger than the calf, but it doesn't even do that, right? The thigh and the calf are exactly the same size, the upper arm and the forearm are exactly the same size, and even the chest and the hips. Now, when it comes to male and female sexes, people can be built pretty different. You know, generally males have a broader shoulder. Their upper torsos tend to look like a V. It goes from the hips straight up to the waist and then up into a V shape towards the shoulders. Whereas for females, you might get something that looks like an hourglass. The shoulders are going to be a certain width. The waist is going to be the skinniest part of the torso, and it's going to flare out into the hips, which are also going to be pretty similar width to the shoulders. And unfortunately, this model helps you capture none of that. And like low-key, you wouldn't even know which side is the front and which side is the back. It's just such an ambiguous shape. So it gets a lot of things wrong. Now, I don't know how many of you guys have heard of this kind of thing where when an expert is trying to teach a noob a new skill, usually they would say that the noob, who is a complete empty blank canvas, who doesn't know anything about what they're about to learn, is easier to teach than the noob who has already established bad habits. And if this is what you use to study and make poses, you're gonna establish a lot of bad habits. And speaking of bad habits, this might be even worse. You already have a reference that is way better than what this can give you. You have two of them, actually. It's your own hands. If you have a character who's doing a certain pose and you just cannot work out the hands, go take a picture of your own hands. Maybe prop your phone up against something and start a video and just start doing like hand motions like the character that you're imagining. And you can play it back and freeze frame it and have those frames be used as your reference for that hand. And it's going to be infinitely more anatomically accurate than something like this. These things are just not good for art. Okay, so what's wrong with this hand? Now, when I hold this up, you know, it looks pretty good on camera. I mean, look at that. It's such a natural position. You know, the length of the fingers all varied. It seems pretty good, right? But look at this thumb. Try to just hold your thumb like that for me for a second. It is the most uncomfortable thing that you could possibly do. This is not even close to a natural resting position for your hand, okay? If you just hold up your hand with me right now, you can very clearly see that your thumb sticks out of the palm shape of your hand. You see this meaty thumb pad right here, this muscle right here? That forms like a triangle shape that sticks out of this block, which is your palm. And this does not do that. It never will do that because there is no articulation there. So that's sin number one. Jesus, this thing is stiff. Oh, the second issue that I have with this, and this might be my biggest issue with it, is the placement of the knuckles. It is completely off. So let me just show you. Look at the back of your hand, okay? I want you to look at where your knuckles are. I'm going to draw on my hand just so you guys can see. These are my knuckles. Now I'm going to draw a line through them, and that is actually the shape of your palm. So your knuckles are kind of receding. There's a curve to them. And this is the number one absolute biggest mistake that I see from beginners when they're drawing hands is people don't take into account the curvature in terms of the length of the palm of your hand. If I bend my pinky, see, that's the connection point. Whereas if I bend my index and middle finger, see, the connection point is way up there. Now, if you were to learn from this, instead of an actual hand, you're going to get the knuckles all on a straight line, and you're also not going to get this articulating thumb. So while yes, you're going to be able to draw a hand that looks like a hand, something is always going to be a little bit off about that hand. And that goes back to what I said before about establishing good habits versus bad habits. If you study from just these things alone and you do not look at real people or real hands, you're going to ingrain into your brain some real bad habits that are going to be so tough to break. So in essence, these mannequins just simply do not represent the things that they're trying to represent. And if you've ever studied one of these things and you just thought to yourself after the fact, man, my drawing just doesn't look right. You know, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get this right? It's not you, man. It's the mannequin. Quality references produce quality drawings. And this is not a quality reference. Now, there are some alternatives to this, okay? If you like having a 3D object that you can actually observe, instead of these wooden mannequins, you can use action figures. Look at that, it's Spider-Man. And you know what? He's got all the right proportions and you can get him in some crazy poses. Or better yet, you can get a figure that's actually specifically made for drawing. Now, these figures that I have are from SH Figure Arts. Now, these get pretty expensive. They are a lot more expensive than a wooden mannequin. But if you're somebody who maybe you're drawing your own comic, your own manga, and you need a lot of poses, these are going to be a lifesaver for you. I mean, this figure has even got lines on it so you can see exactly what perspective you're viewing the character from, which I think is honestly so fantastic. This is a high quality reference right here, okay? This is very close to the anatomy that you're going to see in real life, and it also allows you to place it in different poses that are actually realistic. So if you're like me and you love action figures, you can ask your mom for one of these and say it's for educational purposes, and you wouldn't actually be lying. So there's my contribution on the art community's new beef with mannequins. Now, personally, am I going to get rid of these? No, I think they look nice around the house. And honestly, in this day and age, that's what they should be used for. These guys are just decoration, and you should not be using them as practice and references for your art, okay? You have higher quality references now online, and you have higher quality references in better action figures, okay? The thing, like, times have changed. Anyways, guys, I just wanted to make this video because I've had the exact same experience, and I found it's hilarious that so many people felt the exact same thing that I once did. So yeah, if you ever tried drawing one of these and it turned out horrible, it's not you. It's the mannequin. Subscribe if you want to see more art content like this. Like this video if you like me, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.
High five. High five.
Yeah, good boy. I mean, paw. Paw. Yeah, good boy. Oh. High five. High five.
High five. High five.